We're going to start with the lesser feared ships and work our way to the most feared ships of all time. The Adventure Galley. The Adventure Galley was captained by William Kidd, who set sail in 1696 after being hired by the English government to hunt down pirates. Although Kidd began his career as a respected privateer, he eventually became one of the most famous pirates in history. One of the reasons his ship was feared is the fact that it could be powered by both sails and oars, allowing it to chase ships even when the wind was calm. In addition to this, the Adventure Galley had around 34 cannons and was crewed by around 150 men. This meant that almost any merchant ship would have pretty much zero chance against it. Captain Kidd maximized this lethal edge by flying deceptive false flags to lure unsuspecting merchant vessels into close range before he would drop the act. Once they were engaged, he would hoist a solid blood-red flag to signal no quarter. This basically meant that if anyone attempted to resist, everyone would be executed. One of the ship's most infamous captures was that of the Quedagh Merchant. This is because at this point in 1698, Kidd was still considered a privateer. However, after stealing a massive cargo of 70,000 pounds, Kidd would officially become a wanted pirate. This ended up being the ship's last ever capture. After it, Kidd went to Madagascar, where he tried to capture Robert Culliford's ship. But unfortunately for him, 90 of his men committed mutinies and deserted him. Stranded, Kidd ended up stripping the Adventure Galley bare and intentionally burned and scuttled her. The Whydah Gally. The Whydah Gally became the flagship of Samuel Black Sam Bellamy after he captured the former slave ship in early 1717. Bellamy transformed it into a powerful private vessel by adding around 28 cannons and assembling a crew of nearly 180 pirates. In addition to this, there were also swivel guns along the ship's rails, which would fire musket balls or scrap metal. In less than a year, Bellamy and his crew captured around 50 ships. This earned them a reputation as one of the most successful pirate crews of the golden age of piracy. In addition to this, capturing these 50 ships earned Bellamy and his crew a staggering $179 million. What made the Whydah Galley so feared was the fact that it was fast enough to catch sleek merchant ships and heavily armed enough to overpower them once it did. Despite his fearsome ship, Bellamy himself was known as the Robin Hood of the sea. This was because he would treat prisoners fairly and even invited skilled sailors to join his crew. In fact, there's actually no historical documentation of Bellamy's crew ever executing or murdering captives, which is why it's not higher on this list. However, the ship's legendary career ended suddenly in April 1717 when it sank during a violent Capeside storm off the coast of Cape Cod, taking Bellamy and most of his crew down with it. The Fancy. The Fancy became the flagship of Henry Every after he seized control of the ship in 1694 during a mutiny. Every quickly transformed it into one of the fastest ships of its time by physically cutting away the heavy upper deck to reduce its weight. Despite all these radical changes, the ship actually still carried around 46 cannons and a crew of roughly 150 men. The Fancy earned its fearsome reputation in 1695 when it ambushed and captured the Ganges Sawai, one of the largest and wealthiest treasure ships of the Mughal Empire. The battle was brutal. The pirate crew boarded and subjected the passengers to days of horrific torture and violence to uncover the gold, which is actually something they would do quite often to ships that they captured. The prize was estimated to be worth the equivalent of hundreds of millions of dollars today, making it one of the richest pirate captures in history. The attack was so devastating that it actually damaged relationships between England and the Mughal Empire and sparked one of the world's first ever global manhunts. Henry Every became the world's most wanted man, yet despite countless attempts to capture him, he disappeared without ever being found. The Royal Fortune. The Royal Fortune was the flagship of Bartholomew Roberts, better known as Black Bart, during the early 1720s. Roberts is widely regarded as the most successful pirate of the golden age of piracy, capturing more than 400 ships during his career. more than almost any other pirate in history. His royal fortune carried between 40 and 42 cannons and was crewed by nearly 180 experienced pirates who followed a strict code of discipline. Unlike many pirate captains, Robert expected his crew to obey rules, avoid unnecessary drunkenness during battles, and work together like a professional navy. This organization allowed the Royal Fortune to defeat ships much larger than itself. The ship would also fly a blood-red flag, signaling that no mercy would be given if a target resisted. While he preferred bloodless surrenders, he was ruthlessly cruel to those who fought back, once burning an entire captured ship with its occupants trapped inside. Roberts was also known for his incredible confidence, often attacking ships that were protected by naval escorts and still managed to capture them. Even when the British Royal Navy finally cornered him in 1722, Roberts refused to surrender and fought on the deck of his flagship until he was killed instantly by a blast of grape shot to the throat. The Queen Anne's Revenge. The Queen Anne's Revenge was the terrifying flagship of Edward Teach, better known as Blackbeard, from the year 1717 to 1718, and it remains the most famous pirate ship in history. Originally built as a French slave ship called La Concorde, Blackbeard captured it and transformed it into a fortress armed with 40 cannons and crewed by nearly 300 pirates. The ship's size and firepower alone made it dangerous, but it was Blackbeard's terrifying theatrics that truly struck absolute fear. Before the battle, he would strap up to 6 loaded pistols across his chest and weave slow-burning fuses into his beard. Along with this, the Queen Anne's Revenge would fly their own custom no-quarter flag, kind of like the Royal Fortune and the Fancy, and his crew would also sometimes fire broken glass and nails out of the cannons. One of Blackbeard's most famous exploits occurred in 1718, when he used the massive flagship to blockade the port of Charleston, South Carolina, capturing several ships and holding their passengers hostage until the town delivered a large chest of medicine. Stories of his brutality, his fearless attacks, and the sight of the Queen Anne's Revenge spread throughout the Atlantic. He would end his career by intentionally running the flagship aground to betray his crew and steal the loot for himself and his inner circle. Although Blackbeard's career lasted only a few years, his reputation became so powerful that sailors often surrendered without firing a single shot, making the Queen Anne's Revenge the most feared ship of the golden age of piracy.